Okay, I just posted, as I labeled the document, one possible solution to our model exercise, right? One thing I want to point out right away, a student let me know about this as well. The instructions, the original instructions, mention or emphasize this fact about the musician indicating what their primary instrument was if they're willing to identify it, right? So in my posted solution here, I don't have the foreign key for the instrument inside the musician class labeled with that little O or the 0 on there to indicate 0, right? Making it a nullable foreign key. So I've added a comment here to help explain that, right? So we track musicians and all the instruments they play, right? The required foreign key for instrument in the musician tracks the primary instrument of the relationship, right? So I have a note there. The original instructions indicated that it could be nullable, okay, allowing musicians to choose whether to identify a primary instrument. However, our client has asked us to make a change. So I wanted to post the model so it matches how we're going to build the application throughout the term, okay? So moving forward in the development of our app, we're going to make the instrument ID non-nullable, okay? And that reflects, as I said, the request from the client to have it set up that way. So there you go. So other than that, there are a few other things you should be aware of that are kind of a variation that we will fully accept. A couple students asked about this, okay, in terms of the album and a song, okay, a song being on one album. An album has many songs, songs on one album. Well, the point was, what if they release a greatest hits album later on, okay? It's just all the exact same recordings, same songs, same performances, but it's on a different album. Well, you're right. And if you modeled your solution that way, I'll fully accept it and you'll get full marks for it, no doubt. But what we want to do, this is a teaching example still, right? We didn't want to make it super or overly complicated as a first time building a full-fledged MVC application. So yeah, it's a bit of a simplification from the real world, but we're going to go with this design that a song is on one album and that's that, right? Just to keep it simple enough so we don't get lost in the weeds as we're building the application. You do see the difference in the two foreign keys here from genre. Genre is apparent to album. It's a required foreign key in the album. Every album must identify a genre, whereas a song doesn't have to. Now, again, if you really wanted to get complicated in the real world, some albums are a combination of multiple genres, right? But I'm going to go on the assumption that, say, if pop is one genre and rock is another genre, rather than, you know, having a many-to-many relationship, I'm just going to make a genre called pop rock. Okay? So again, we're just trying to keep it relatively simple so it's not too complex for a teaching example. All right, the other final thing to talk about here in terms of a variation, the one student at least suggested that maybe there should be an intersection table right here, right, to a many-to-many between instrument and performance, right? So if a performance by a musician, okay, on a song, you know, if partway through he puts down the guitar and picks up a trumpet, right? Well, then that's multiple instruments that he's playing as he's performing the song. If you did it that way, I will once again give you full marks. In order to kind of keep it simple, and this was clearly indicated in the instructions, right? Basically that a performance would be made up of a musician playing a given instrument on the song, right? So how we're expecting to handle it is if they put down the guitar and pick up the trumpet partway through, then that is essentially two separate performances by the same musician on the same song, but with two different instruments, right? That's just as correct as doing it the other way, and it makes our life a little bit simpler as we're building the application. So, but in terms of marking your model, full marks if you did it that way as well. Other than that, I think it's pretty well explained here in the instructions. I'm not going to spend much time going through it. You can see how it's reflected here in the drawing that we're providing. And again, this is the drawing that we're going to be following as we go through and build the application throughout the term, right? This model itself. So anyway, you have a copy of this now. I just want to kind of review, and I'll maybe wrap up my comments saying this was not meant to be a super challenging model. It's a good exercise to revisit the concept of starting with a good design as you build the application. But I'd indicated earlier, we're going to be pretty lenient in the marking. If you have something that's anywhere close to perfect, you're going to get a perfect mark, right? It's just out of 10. If you're pretty close, you'll probably get a 9 out of 10. You'd have to do a really bad model to actually fail in this particular assignment. So, don't sweat about it too much. You'll probably be pretty happy with your mark, but we can always discuss it if you're not. Okay, well, that's our quick review of the posted solution for our data model for the music collection.